and I actually just lost the sun because it looks like it's going to rain. So I don't even have a sunny day anymore. So I'm very jealous of everyone that's getting this view in Australia, but very thankful that they're sharing our feed with us and we're able to see it. So let's start with a question from Twitter. Katie Bennington said, my 6-year-old daughter, Ryli, dreams to be an astronaut someday. And she asked, what calculations go into predicting eclipses? Now, I'll be honest, when I read this question at first, my initial thought was, I have no idea. I don't know how to answer this. But basically, there's two parts to calculating eclipses. The first is to figure out when it's going to happen. And then from there, you can determine where it will be visible on Earth. So this requires a lot of observations over time and calculations of the position of the moon and the sun, right? Because we need both in order for an eclipse to happen. If it's a solar eclipse, we need the moon to block the sun. If it's a lunar eclipse, we need Earth to pass between the sun and the moon. So we have to take the orbital paths of all three of these bodies, the Earth, Moon, and the Sun, into consideration. This is a lot of calculations, and it's not simple or straightforward, actually. Then we take the moon orbit data and extrapolate it to find the months where the eclipses might occur, and we can determine the exact times to see when the eclipse will be visible. And then the eclipse path can be projected into the Earth's surface to see where the total eclipse will be visible from, which is how we get the eclipse paths, such as the total solar eclipse we had last August. I'm looking at the feed right now, and the moon is just like, as everybody knows, it's just the image being reloaded from their live feed. But this is a live view from the UAE, and you can see here too, the moon is starting to be eclipsed. The jumping back and forth is just the image reloading. But so once we have the calculations of the orbital path of where the moon and the sun are going to be, and then we can project it onto the Earth's surface to see where we would see the eclipse from, we can get a particular location and time. So that's how we knew that the total solar eclipse would be along this straight path across the United States last year. But then where the edges are is actually a rough estimate. And this is partially due to us not having an exact size of the sun. Surprisingly, even though this is obviously the closest star to us, and we do know a ton about the sun, there's also a lot we don't know. And one of those things is its exact radius. And so because we don't know this, we're not able to make firm constraints on where the eclipse viewing line ends. So there's a lot that goes into this, Ryli, and I highly encourage, if you want to be an astronaut one day, please pursue this for us. I'm sure you can make great strides in this field. And if you want to know anything more about going into astronomy as a future career, you can always contact me on slooh.com, and I'm happy to talk about that. So, what is this mini moon that we're talking about today?